Welcome to After Hours, Red Apple 21's look at after-school activities. This month, our program takes us behind the scenes of the Bare Facts, Lake Braddock Secondary's nationally recognized student-produced school newspaper. The staff of the Bare Facts is made up of students who put many hours of work into the paper, during school in their journalism class, and of course, after hours. Dr. Patrick McCarthy, sponsor of the Bare Facts, talked to us about his objectives for the staff and how the paper got its unusual name.
The school opened in September '73. At that time, of course, the school newspaper hadn't been named. The first 2 issues, I think it was, did not have a name on them. We put out just simply a small contest asking people to submit names, and Bare Facts was the favorite one. The Bare Facts, since it opened in '73, has tried to do things themselves. We've tried to build a paper by using a hands-on process in that we do all the work. We do all the typesetting here. We have a CompuGraphic typesetting system with terminals and computers so that we can do the typesetting ourselves rather than sending them out. This means that we have more money to be able to publish more frequently. Since we opened, we hope to be a true newspaper and to be able to publish frequently. We publish every 2 weeks and every 10 school days, and we mail the paper home to every family having a child attending Lake Braddock. This means that we have a readership of around 10,000, with a student body of about 4,500, and the parents, and we figure it's over 10,000. Thus, our students are involved in every aspect of the publication of a newspaper. We have printers, we have typesetters, we have people doing the makeup and the mailing, we have computer specialists, we have photographers. All work is student done. No adult, other than myself sometimes, touches the Bare Facts until it goes to the mailman.
I think it's important to realize that the paper is totally produced by students, that nobody touches it except us, all the way from the time that it's just ideas to the time that it gets delivered to the post office. And that's really unusual because most other high school newspapers have it, most of the production work is done by professionals. And so the paper really gives a whole lot of experience to people that don't have any other way to get it. And it's really, I think that's the best part about it. When I look at it, it's our paper, and it's our thing. And so everything that comes out of it is really, I don't know, it really belongs to the staff.
To get a better idea of how the paper is put together, let's trace the path of a story from its assignment to the printed page.
Okay, the assignments of the stories are made, we have what's called a beat system, and we take all the major clubs like the Spanish Honor Society and cheerleading and things like that, and we assign a first-year journalism student to take care of those and to write a story on it. They check their beat every 2 weeks, and they make sure that there's nothing going on, or that if there is something going on, that they cover it. Then, after the story is written, we decide if, depending on how much space we have in the issues, most stories get in, though some stories don't get in because of room. Just whatever is most important is how we decide.
This is a good story for you guys to do. This is the SDA dance. Will it be on Friday?
I think so.
Okay, you want me to do the research and you can type it in? Okay, that's cool. We can do that. Okay, can I borrow your pen?
Sure.
I'll sign us up.
Can you put my name on there, too?
Okay. Then, Emily, would you like to do the Model UN meet?
Yeah.
Here's a pen. Okay, I think that's a good idea. Remember, guys, it's really important that we get it in by the deadline, the 13th. Okay.
Like any newspaper, the Bare Facts has reporters who concentrate on different areas, such as news, sports, and features.
Well, we have our separate sections. We have feature and news and sports and editorial, and then we have editors for each of those sections. And so the editors will decide which stories go in. And then basically the stories that the beat system covers are the news stories. And the feature stories are usually sometimes the higher editors, or if somebody thinks of a story that's interesting, they'll go ahead and write about that. And then that would go in the feature department. And then there are sports writers also. They're assigned by the sports editors. They have the option of signing up for it. And then there's an editorial editor and assistant editorials, and they write the stories, the editorials.
In a school the size of Lake Braddock, you can imagine how difficult it is to keep track of everything going on in the school and to report those activities and events in the twice-monthly newspaper.
Each editor does the follow-up. If a story is assigned, say, a feature story, then the feature editor will follow through and will make sure that the feature story gets written up and is typed in the computer and is printed. The same goes for a news editor or a sports editor. They check the board, and about every 2 weeks when we have our deadline, they take all the stuff down, all the old stories that have been printed, and they're marked up. Each piece of paper is marked up. For example, when the story is typed in, or when the story is brought in, and when it's laid out, the date is put down on the yellow piece of paper so we can keep track of the stories that are going.
After the assignments have been made comes the most obvious step. The reporters research and write their stories.
There are several types of reporters, depending on the type of story you're doing. A feature reporter will do probably the main stories, people's stories. Then there's news, which is common stuff. And there's also sports reporters, which cover the school's sports. When you're assigned a story, you have a beat. And the beat is what you go out on, is the type of story you're doing. And during class, journalism class, you have your press pass. You can go to the office, find out who you have to interview, and you can get these people out of class to interview them. Once you've gotten notes on the people, you can take your notes back to class, form them into a rough draft. You sit down at one of the computers, and depending on what type of story you're doing, you'll get that disc, whether it's the feature disc, the news disc, or the spread disc. You sit down at one of the computers, and you'll start typing in your story. When you're done with your story, you'll sign a paper saying that you've done this. The editors will then take the story, and they'll edit it and take out what they think isn't necessary, and maybe add stuff that is necessary.
Well, I think the best story I've written was the Christmas one. I did a what if story that was in June, and we had a pretty good time making up things for it and just changing things around. It was pretty good.
After writing, the reporters typeset their own stories.
Okay, this is a basically very easy system to use. All you do is insert the disc. The first thing I want to do is read the disc. This is a list of all the stories that are on the disc. To call the story up, all you have to do is call the call number. Okay, I've called the story up. It's on the screen. Now say I want to add to it. All I have to do is start typing, put the cursor at the end, and replace the file. Basically, the writers do their own typing.
As its name implies, the Fairfax places a lot of emphasis on accuracy. To make sure that the reporter's spelling is on target, the story is shifted to another computer for a spell check.
In each period, there's usually someone or some people that know how to spell check on the computer, and they do it, and they check it off on the sign-up sheet, and then people know that they can run their stories out. There are also people who find errors on copy that's already run out and correct it, and they get points for that. So that's kind of an incentive for them to correct errors manually.
The newspaper staff uses computers in a number of ways. In addition to using them as a tool for writing stories, computers are also used as an internal mail system, where students leave progress reports and other messages for staff members. The staff also uses a program that enables reporters to call in stories using their own home computers and modems so that the stories are in the newspaper office first thing in the morning.
For the Fairfax, we have many different types of machines. We have the MDTs, which talk to the trendsetter, and we have an IBM personal computer, several K-Pro machines, and over in the back corner over there we have several machines that are basically done for mail among the students in the journalism department. Now, we have a system here in which students can call up and send stories from home and leave them on this machine, which can be typed onto the trend setter. And most of the machines are basically used for the story entry. And from the story entry, they're spell checked on here and then sent over there where they're typed and then laid out on the paper.
After the story has been written and checked for spelling errors, it is run out on a typesetting computer.
This is the trend setter, and it costs $40,000, and without this machine, we couldn't run out copy. This is how we run out copy. And the way we run out copy, first, you know, you've talked about this already. We type in the stories on the computers, and the way we tell the machine what to do is through the codes. Okay, so we put the disc down here. Okay, so this is what the paper goes into, and you'll see later how it looks when it runs out. Okay, so you set the cassette in here, and you close the latch. Okay, then you push reset and start. After the disc is done being processed onto here, we push film feed 4 times. And this gives extra paper so that we don't expose the story. And when this light goes off, we lift this up and cut the paper. The canister then comes out and is brought over here. After the paper, you push the paper in very hard so it goes in. And once the machine catches, you flip the top so the paper's not exposed. And it'll come through here, and you pull it. After it comes through here, you'll pull it out, and it comes out. And this is black because it's exposed, but now you can see the words, and these are the words as it goes onto the paper.
The story is then edited if necessary and rerun on the computer.
The main people who do the editing are the editors in charge of that subject, but we also do proofreading, which is done by everyone to find spelling mistakes and typographical mistakes. Editing is mainly done just by editors because it is for style and context. The reason we edit after it comes out of the trend setter and not when it's on the computer is for fit. We only have a certain amount of room for each story. So we run it out and see how it fits and then go back to computers to see what we could cut out or put in to make it fit.
Once the story has been edited, it is ready for the stage known as makeup.
We start out with an empty page, something that looks like this, and when we finish, it comes out looking something like this. What we do is we take the copy and arrange it on the page so that it looks good to the eye. Then we take and make headlines, and once we have the headlines done, then we take it back to the darkroom to be shot.
When the pages are camera ready, they are taken to the darkroom, where a large negative of each page is made.
Okay, well, we take the sheet that Mike had, which is something like this. This is a different copy piece. We take this and we put it on what's called a vertical camera, which shoots it and it turns it into a negative, which is a sheet like this. And you go through a series of chemical processes to get from here to there. And you just sort of shoot it. It's the same principle as a regular camera, except for it's a lot bigger.
After the darkroom, the next step is a process known as opaquing.
Okay, over here we opaque, and opaquing is when we would get the black and cover up the white spots with the negatives that we don't need. Because when we develop this, the words and everything we need that is white would turn out black, so the black part would be white. So the spots that we don't need would turn out black. And we opaque it by taking the brush with the liquid on it, and we would just cover up the spots and opaque it so it wouldn't let the light shine through.
After the final touch-ups, a plate is made of the entire page.
Right now we're at the plate maker, and you can't use first you have to have the negative, which we talked about earlier in the darkroom, and after it's already been to the 12th or the opaquing stage, we then grab a plate which looks like this. It has these little things here so that you can connect it to the press teeth, which, you know, hold on to the plate. And then we place the plate up here on the bottom of the negative, and you straighten it so that it's completely straightened. And after you straighten it and the vacuum's down, you just simply press a button and the light shines on it and burns the impression of the negative onto the plate. And If it doesn't burn, we usually have to hit it twice so that it burns through the negative, burns through the plate. So from there it can be run onto the press.
One of the final steps in the bare fax is the printing process. We own 3 printing presses, the largest of which is a Davidson Perfector, which the printers are standing at right now. When we print, we usually print around 5,000 sheets of each page, which is what is currently loaded on the press. Chris is getting ready to start it up. They've watered up the machine. The most critical parts of this are the ink and the water balance. The machine is capable of running approximately 6,000 sheets per hour. This machine prints paper both sides at a time, which is why it's called a perfector. We usually spend about 2 days out of our 10-day schedule every 2 weeks to actually print the paper. This is also one of the most costly aspects of our publication, since the paper itself is probably our largest actual expenditure. We buy this paper approximately at 200,000 sheets at a time. Last issue, our Christmas issue, we used 35,000 sheets of this paper.
Many people may think that once the paper is printed that the job is finished. But there's more to be done. The next step, the folding machine.
This is the folder, and if we wouldn't have this machine here, we probably would be sitting in class folding papers for all day, whereas now, since we have this machine, it probably takes 2 hours at the most. For example, I'll run it real quick. And right here, we got, just right real quick, we already just ran maybe 9 or 10, so that just shows you how quicker it is than just to take it and fold it yourself.
Once the pages are folded, the newspaper is collated, a process which is most definitely hands-on experience.
Once it's printed, we use all of our students to help put the paper together to collate it. This involves all of our 165 students. We do this in one day. We take our 3, 4, or 5 sheets that are folded and put it together, put zip code labels on it to each of our families, divide these into zip code stacks, and bag them for the post office. We are the only high school in Fairfax County which does print their own school newspaper. And the reason we do this is simply to save ourselves money so that we can publish more frequently and in a larger format. Every year we seem to grow and publish more pages. Our typical issue is 12 pages. Sometimes 14, Christmas was 24, but mostly 12 to 14 pages. Therefore, no adult besides myself will touch a school newspaper until the postman gets it.
The staff of the Bare Facts is very professional in operating the newspaper, and like any other business, they take on the financial responsibilities of purchasing and maintaining the equipment used in publishing. They are able to do this because of the revenue generated from the sale of advertisements.
The reason we have so much equipment is because of our advertising program. Advertising pays the costs, not only the newspaper itself, but of our ability to buy other equipment. Tonight, we're finishing up our issue for January, and George Komar has stopped by. George is the owner of Burke Nautilus and a teacher at Oakton High School. He has been advertising with us for 6 years, since his business opened. And I thought it'd be nice to let him tell us a little bit about why he advertises in the paper. George?
I have found that the Lake Braddock paper has been about the most effective form of advertising for my business. It hits my market, that of the high school student and their parents that are in need of fitness training and conditioning. Being a teacher myself at Oakton High School, I can appreciate the work that Dr. McCarthy has done with the students here in really preparing a fine paper that truly does represent what is going on within the school here at Lake Braddock. For me, I said, as an advertiser, the students here at the school have been most helpful. They've called to remind me to get my advertising in on time and even worked with me on advertising. They've just been very helpful in all aspects.
As you have seen, a lot of hard work goes into preparing the Bear Facts for its readers. We asked some of the staff members why they chose to work on the school's newspaper.
I joined the paper because in my geometry class when I was a freshman, there was a guy who told me not to take computer science because it was boring, and I already knew how to do BASIC, and I already knew how to do computers. He told me to take journalism because I'd get to play on the computers more, and it'd be more fun and be more interesting. And I took it, and about 2 weeks I was a computer specialist, and I found that everything else was just as interesting, and I liked writing, and I liked doing the photography in darkroom, and it just sort of blossomed from there.
I started taking it last year, and I heard that it was a really good course to get into from my sister and one of her friends who was editor-in-chief last year. And at first, when you start, you're not really sure what to do. And I remember when I started, I didn't really do anything in class. I did my homework in class, but once you start finding out about everything about the computers, and once you get the hang of everything, it's so rewarding because it makes you feel so important because you can understand everything. And it's really rewarding, you know. It's a time during school when I can just come in, and it's important. It's something important that I can do in school, and it doesn't affect just me, you know. It's not just whether I'm getting my homework done and stuff. It's, you know, it's for the whole school. And the paper is really important, and I always hear my friends talking about the paper, and it's so strange because it doesn't seem like such a big deal to me because I'm always working on it. I really like it. I'm going to take it, you know, next year and when I'm a senior.
I first got involved because I needed to fill my schedule, and once I got started, I loved it. I mean, it's just a very, you don't have to do anything. It's all up to you as to what you want to do, and having the freedom to just do anything you want to. I can do anything from typesetting to layout to the photo room, and it's really nice to be able to get into just everything, all the facets of journalism.
Well, I've been involved in computers alone for about 10 years, and I have a friend who was in here last year who says it's a lot of fun, and I happen to be personal friends with Dr. McCarthy, and he needed another computer specialist since the one last year left, and since I had an interest in it, I took the class.
I got involved in journalism because I like to write and I like laying out pages. Actually, I wanted to be in yearbook. My mom suggested newspaper would be better for a career in the future, which is what I want to do.
My sister was in journalism, and every day when she came home, she would say how much she loved it, and I was really hoping that I could be in journalism sooner. So one day after school, I came to one of the deadlines, and I enjoyed it, and then I asked at the 7th grade orientation if I could be a part of journalism, and they let me and there's also 5 other intermediates for this high school class.
I was like the first 7th grader at Lake Braddock to have the option to either take shop or take journalism, and since my brothers, both of them, Sean and Pat, were in here, they told me how fun it was, so I tried it out as a 7th grader. It's so much fun. I have to stay one other year.
The Bear Facts is very much a part of the Lake Braddock community. Because it is mailed to the homes of students, the entire family can keep up on activities and events taking place at the school. It's not an easy job publishing a newspaper, but the staff manages to do so twice each month. Their hard work has won them numerous state and national awards over the years, and the students feel that this experience will certainly make a difference to those who choose journalism as a career.
So we've consistently gotten really good awards. We enter every year. We go to Charlottesville, and we enter in the Virginia High School League, and we go to New York for the Columbia Scholastic Press Association. And the year I was a sophomore, we won their highest award, which is Gold Crown. And I think that it's more important that everybody knows in the school that it's really good paper. And I think that those acclamations from the people that actually read it and actually know who John Brown, who's on the football team, is, I think those are more important than all the awards that we've won.
We hope you've enjoyed this look at Lake Braddock School newspaper, The Bare Facts. As you have seen, the paper is a success because of the hard work and dedication of its sponsor and its staff. So the next time you see a student newspaper, remember the kind of work that goes into its production. Many hours in class, and many more after hours.